Wah! Hey everybody. Today I want to do a guitar review of the Kramer SM1. Now this is a newer guitar that I bought, and I haven't done any guitar reviews yet, so I figured this is a chance to take one of the newer ones I have and just maybe try to answer some questions that you have if you're considering buying this guitar, and also maybe just some questions that I had when I was purchasing this guitar that I would have found very helpful before I bought it. Did you know that 99% of you aren't subscribed? Why? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and follow me. So I have had Kramers in the past, and I have sold Kramers in the past, and so I have some awareness of the brand. I'm old, so I had my first Kramer in the 80s, which is a wonderful guitar, by the way. And so a few years ago, I was thinking I want to buy a new kind of metal guitar, something with a Floyd Rose on it. I don't live near anywhere where there are a lot of music stores to just go and peruse all kinds of guitars, so I had to buy this one online. And I didn't want to make an impulse purchase of something that was just going to be kind of crappy. And so based on my experience from Kramers in the past, I know that in the price range, in the under $1,000 price range, I wanted something that I knew at least was going to be playable. And also, I've known Kramers in the past. They always kind of have a good reputation for having a neck that I like, and the quality of the necks and the finish are always pretty decent, even in the less expensive guitars. So I figured it was a good bet to try this one out, and I ended up just keeping it. I have to say I have mixed feelings about it, but for the most part, let me try to answer some questions you might have about it. So Kramer SM1, this one is... it has basically a mahogany body, mahogany neck, some sort of rosewoody fretboard. It's not rosewood. I don't know what you call that exactly. It has a humbucker and two single coils in the middle and the neck. It has a Floyd Rose tremolo on it. Has a pickup selector. It has a coil tap for the humbucker right here, and it has a volume and a tone knob. It has a locking nut at the top, and it has side of that not the old hockey stick neck, but it has the newer kind of more pointy hockey stick neck on there. The hardware is pretty solid. The electronics are pretty solid. Like I said, what I like about Kramers in general are the quality of the neck. The frets are finished really nicely for a less expensive guitar. And overall, it's a very playable, very fun guitar to play. I have to make a confession in that I am not a guitar brand purist, so I don't buy guitars and keep them stock in hopes I'm going to sell them someday and make them collectible. I'm pretty rough on guitars, honestly. I've had a lot of guitars in my life. I bought and sold guitars, worked in guitar shops, done guitar tech in the past, and so I like to make things playable for me. And so it's kind of that Eddie Van Halen mentality, you know, I just chop things up and do Frankenstein with stuff. And so I didn't buy this guitar trigger warning to just keep it stock and have a nice, pretty collectible guitar. So if you're one of those guys that said, how could you do that to your guitar? Well, that's how it is. My money, I bought it, my guitar. So I made some changes on this just to make it playable. I'll probably be doing some more mods in it in the future, and going to be adding some things, changing some things. What I did here, and you might find this shocking, the first thing I did was I put a EVH D-tuner on there. So notice it's routed for the tremolo right here, and basically I just had to carve this out because there wasn't enough space for the D-tuner, so I went ahead and carved that out myself. You'll also notice, and this was my mistake, this is because I'm stupid, I put a trem blocker in the back because I really just can't stand trying to make Floyd Roses completely balanced. And so I put a trem blocker in the back so that, it doesn't matter what happens, the tension in the back keeps the Floyd Rose from moving back. And so basically I put a trem blocker in it, and when I was putting a trem blocker in there, I accidentally didn't realize how deep the screw was going to be. You can see that little hole right there. I didn't realize how thick or thin the body was, and so when I was screwing in the trem blocker, the screw actually came through the top here, which, yeah, oh well, my fault. I guess I won't be reselling this for any high value in the future. But anyway, it was playable, and I enjoy playing this guitar. It's fun. It's relaxing. It has a neck shape that's very comfortable to me. It's kind of, I'd say the neck is kind of a cross between a Fender standard Strat neck and a Gibson Studio Les Paul. If you're familiar with that, it's kind of the same. You know, it's obviously it's the finish on the back is the same finish on the guitar, and so it's a little bit sticky. It's not as fast and slidey as a standard, you know, maple back neck, but the feel of the neck is really nice, and it's consistent. It gets a little bit thicker up at the top here, but overall, I like thin necks, and I like necks that aren't too wide. And so it's kind of thin here, and it gets a little bit wider up at the top. So I wouldn't know what to compare that with, but overall, it's relatively comfortable to play. And some guitars are a lot fatter and D-shaped, and this is a little bit more C-shaped, I think, all the way up. So if that's the type of neck you're looking for, keep that in mind. The binding around the neck, like I said, is really nice. It's really stable. The first thing I do when I check out any guitars, I run my hand up and down the neck to see how much fret jagged edges are going to be. A lot of inexpensive guitars be a lot of jagged frets. That's the first sign of a cheap guitar. And this one, even though in its price range, I think I paid about 800 euros for it online, brand new. First thing out of the box is like, okay, that's nice fret job. And Kramer is typically pretty consistent with that. So Kramer and Gibson, you know, Kramer is part of Gibson, so they're really good at making nice frets typically. So that's a good sign. Also checking down the neck, you know, if you look down the neck, you'll notice it's fairly straight. You probably can't see that in the camera so well, but you know, everything lines up pretty well. Like I said, I Frankensteined a lot of things, so I had to carve things out for the D-Tuna. Getting into the stuff I'm not so happy with about the guitar. First of all, I liked it because it has a Seymour Duncan JB humbucker, which I play a lot in a lot of my guitars, so knowing that was going to be in there, I knew I'd have to upgrade it. It just stays standard. It has Seymour Duncan cool rail pickups in the middle and the neck, which I had never played before, and unfortunately I'm not so happy with. I think they need to be hotter. As you'll hear in the demonstration in a minute, I just don't understand why they're in there. I mean, this is a rock metal guitar, and these are definitely very low output pickups. I think some hot rails would have been nice, or even some sort of beefier single coil pickups. That would be the way to go in my preference. That's probably what I'm going to upgrade for here. As far as the body goes, this is a mahogany body. And the first thing I noticed right away when I got this guitar is it is lightweight. It is comfortable to play, but the finish obviously feels like what's holding this guitar together. So in general, it feels like if you squeeze, you know, I mean, I like the body shape. I like the curve of everything as well, but you know, this is a piece of mahogany. Mahogany is really thin wood, so mahogany is not a body tonal guitar, in my opinion. I like harder woods, you know, and I know they're trying to save some money, and maybe there's some environmental reasons or some economic reasons why they're not using those types of woods for the body. But mahogany, for me, in terms of the body, is a no-go. And it's very porous wood, it's a very light wood, it's very soft wood, and it's not a tonal wood to use for a body, in my opinion. In this case, I don't know why they used it, other than they just are trying to save money, or they're just trying to have one consistent shape for all the guitars. But like I said, if you squeeze this, you can feel the lacquer, the thick lacquer, which it feels like it's probably about, you know, 1/4 of a centimeter thick. And since it's a metallic lacquer, you know, there's a lot of lacquer on there. It's a pretty thick lacquer, but you can almost feel the air underneath the lacquer over top of the porous mahogany. And so I kind of feel like this, in a way, is sort of like a lacquer bubble with a little bit of mahogany filler. And so unfortunately, you know, the tonality of this guitar is not really there. There isn't a lot of resonance. And so, you know, it's a very playable, nice guitar. The electronics are solid, but in terms of a guitar that really sort of vibrates when you play it, a lot of the more expensive guitars, a lot of the more maple necks and things. That's my dog sleeping. He's having a bad dream. Anyway, yeah, it's just not it. So there's not a lot of natural vibration, a lot of harmonics from this guitar, unfortunately, which really kind of bummed me out. So when you're playing it, you're getting all the tone from the strings and the pickups. You're getting a lot of metallic tone, but you're not getting any resonance from the wood, because the wood is so porous and so buried under the lacquer that it's not really there. So if you're looking for some of those sort of resonant, chimey, woody tones from your guitar, you're not going to get it with this. So I would suggest mostly playing metal with humbuckers and high output pickups and doing a lot of shredding probably. But if you're looking for clean resonance, you're not really going to get it from this. So with that being said, I'd have to say that, right now I'm playing with some kind of heavy string gauges. I'm trying to train my fingers to play with the heavy gauges. I want to start buying a 7-string and an 8-string, do a lot more kind of djenty kind of stuff. But for now, I'd say having put the heavier strings on here, this thing's tuned to drop C right now. I think it's probably too heavy and too muddy for the existing setup. I'd say you probably want to stick with maybe lighter strings on this, just because I think this is more standard tuning or drop D tuning, maybe a drop C sharp, but I wouldn't go any lower right now. Drop C, which feels like it's too low for this guitar. I had to do a lot of setup, and it was kind of fighting me on the setup. So if you're planning on going really low or a lot of heavy string gauge, I wouldn't do that. Just my opinion. I don't know what your preference is, but that's my thing on this. As far as everything else, playability, I'm probably going to move back up to like a 10 to 52 or 10 to 56 string gauge and just keep it at that and play it for more of the higher tuned metal and rock stuff, and kind of keep it at that. And that's just what I'm going to have for this guitar. And I think with the cool rail pickups, again, I'll probably switch them out, but you hear in the demo in a minute, they're okay, but they're kind of lacking something. So I'd say the two weakest points on this guitar is, one, these two pickups right here, and the quality of this wood, which for me is just a no-go. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of preferences. Sometimes they like it light, sometimes they like that, but for me, I need a chunk of wood. I need hard, dense woods for the body, and I like when you hit, a thud or a chug, you can feel the vibration sometimes in the guitars. And this one, the chug is all string, it's all neck here, but the chug doesn't resonate here in the body. For me, that's a no-go. But I'm going to keep the guitar anyway, just because I hacked it up and probably won't be able to sell it for a lot of money. Again, it's a nice player, so it's really nice just to kind of keep next to the couch and just jam on. And if I want to do some Floyd Rhodes stuff, I do that. It's just something to experiment with. But for me, I would say this wouldn't be my number one playing guitar. I wouldn't record with it. I probably wouldn't do a lot of touring with it, just because this body here. So I don't know, Kramer, if you're listening, I don't know why you did that, but I would say, I'd pay a couple extra bucks, a few $100 extra just to have a nicer body to make this guitar really a gem. And also, I don't know, do something with these pickups, because they're just not doing it. And everything I've read online, people are complaining about it too. They swap it out too. They're just not happy with it. So if you want to do Van Halen songs, Van Halen covers, this is still a great guitar. Do some Metallica or something. But I think if you really want a good, if that wants to be the number one guitar for you for playability, this wouldn't be it for me. But I'm still always open for everything Kramer does. Like I said, the quality and the construction is always really nice. So maybe I'll explore some of their other models in the future. But for now, sub $1,000 Euro guitar, good quality. But I think they can do better, honestly. That's just my opinion. So let's get into the playing. Right now I'm using Guitar Rig. I'm just doing some setups. I wanted to keep it kind of clean sounding. I'll have a little bit of reverb and stuff, but I basically just want it to a little bit clean. So I'll do some heavy stuff and I'll do some less distorted stuff, so you can kind of hear the pickup combinations. So that's the Kramer SM1. I think this is 2019 is when I bought this. If you got any questions, feel free to let me know. Leave a comment or send me a message, and I'll feel free to answer it for you. No haters, because I'm a guitar modifier. I think the more you play, you'll probably mod too. But like I said, overall, it's a great player guitar, and I think it's definitely worth the money for a sub-$1,000 guitar. It could use some updates, I think, in the production quality of some things, but it's also just a great guitar, and I love playing it. So that said, I'm Sean Early, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Did you know that 99% of you aren't subscribed? Why? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and follow me.